The scientific causes for introversion are not definitive, but there is evidence on how the brain works differently. According to WebMD, introverts have a higher blood flow to their frontal lobe compared to extroverts. This part of the brain helps with memory, solving problems, and planning ahead. Psychologist Catherine Benziger claims the brain's natural levels of arousal are associated with introversion and extroversion. This is rooted within the reticular activating system of the brain. Introverts typically possess higher levels of cortisol arousal, while extroverts have a naturally low level. This results in extroverts seeking higher levels of external stimulation in order to achieve a comfortable level of arousal, while introverts will be overwhelmed. In Susan Cain's book Quiet, introversion and extroversion are also genetically based. Cain cites Jerome Kagan's longitudinal study in 1989 that found high reactive children were more likely to be introverts and low reactive children extroverts. 500 4-month-old infants in Kagan's lab at Harvard found that high reactive infants who hollered at the dancing mobiles bobbing above their heads did so because their excited amygdala reacted strongly to new sights, sounds, and smells. High reactive children pay what one psychologist calls alert attention to people and things. They use more eye movements to compare choices before making a decision. It's as if they process more deeply, consciously or unconsciously, the information they take in about the world. The low reactive infants, the quiet ones, were more likely to become the relaxed, confident extroverts. Among the tests researchers use to measure personality traits are skin conductance tests, which record how much people sweat in response to noises, strong emotions, and other stimuli. High reactive introverts sweat more, low reactive extroverts sweat less. Their skin is literally thicker, more impervious to stimuli, cooler to the touch. In Winifred Gallagher's 1994 Atlantic Times article, she confirms a biological component when understanding personality and how personalities are inborn and resistant to change. Gallagher points to various studies over time, another study by Cain in which both identical and fraternal twins who were raised either together or separately from birth displayed very few differences in personality. Gallagher concludes evidence from twin studies and his subjects' family histories has convinced Cain that the inhibited and uninhibited natures begin with genes. Cain also points out that we can stretch our personalities but only to a certain point. The rubber band theory in personality psychology suggests we are elastic and can stretch ourselves but only so much. Introverts can act more extroverted in important social settings like work dinners or events, but deep down are still introverted by nature. There's also interesting research that narrows in on the neurotransmitter level, the body's chemical messengers. Out of the 60 plus neurotransmitters, there are 2 that work differently among introverts and extroverts. First is dopamine, also known as the reward center and pleasure made in your brain. Introverts typically feel run down by hits of dopamine, but extroverts get an excited buzz from their reward center. Second is acetylcholine. Like dopamine, acetylcholine is also linked to pleasure but makes us feel good when we turn inward. It powers our ability to think deeply, reflect, and focus intensely on just one thing for a long period of time. This explains why introverts like calm environments. It's easier to turn inward when not attending to external stimulation. According to psychotherapist Dr. Marty Olson-Laney, acetylcholine is linked to the parasympathetic side of the nervous system, also known as rest and digest. When we engage the parasympathetic side, our body conserves energy and we withdraw from the outer environment. Our muscles relax, energy is stored, and our heart rate and blood pressure lower. It's our body telling us to turn inward and rest, what introverts love most. Extroverts, on the other hand, prefer the sympathetic nervous system. Also known as fight or flight, the brain becomes alert and hyper-focused on its surroundings. Blood sugar and free fatty acids are elevated to give them more energy, and digestion is slowed. Thinking is reduced, and they become prepared to make snap decisions, compelled to take action and try new things. While extroverts thrive on the dopamine-charged good feelings created when they engage the sympathetic side, for us introverts, it's too much. Well, there we have it. Brain blood flow, levels of arousal, high reactivity, genetics, and differences in neurotransmitters help explain introversion from a scientific lens. However, that's not the full story. Science can help explain why, but our experiences being an introvert is also affected by beliefs and societal norms. Stay tuned for future videos where I dive into introversion at the cultural level. As Jane Goodall once said, every individual matters. Every individual has a role to play. every individual makes a difference.